How has been your week? It's a really long week, right? And it's gonna be a long weekend. Friday, public holiday, and all that. So yes, you're welcome to the class. If you are joining us for the first time, I say welcome to you. If you've been following us, I say welcome to you as well. Welcome back. We've done a lot in this new year. Happy new month. It's the second quarter of the year has started today. Apparently, the first quarter has ended, isn't it? What have you been doing? What have you done so far? Are you still postponing things that you need to do? When are you going to write your exam? When are you writing your exam? You have been studying for some time now. When will you be ready to write? When are you confident enough? Have you been practicing? It's not just about attending classes and all that, but have you been practicing on your own? Are you confident enough to write the exams already? It's all left to you to answer, really. I wish you all the best. And as it is the prayer of every teacher or instructor, they always want their students to do better than them, isn't it? So yes, I want you to score very high marks. I want you to score really high marks in the exams so that we can at least know that what we're doing is it's not rubbish, it's not nothing. We're doing something, okay? Good evening, Oyenike. You're welcome to the class. I hope you are all right. You can hear me, right? We hope that the network will be very friendly today and we'll be able to learn something. So, yes, in the last couple of weeks, we have been doing the writing task. Writing happens to be the most difficult task. That's what some people say. And I can't agree less because it's vast, okay? It's more vast than any of the components of IELTS. We have writing task 1 and writing task 2. We don't have reading task 1 or reading task 2. And speaking is quite easy. And listening is cool because if you watch movies, if you watch British movies, really, you'll be a little bit used to their accent. And once you master the accent, you will understand what they are saying. So you need to help yourself. Go to IELTS Zone for your listening and try to listen on YouTube. Follow them, or there are many listening materials online really that you can get. So when we get to listening, we'll just do the tips and all. Welcome, Adebisi. You are welcome to the class. Tonight we are going to be discussing reading. Reading.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Finally, we get to do something else. We're tired of hearing writing all the time. It's time for reading. Okay? Tonight is reading, and it's academic reading. Reading is actually the same thing for academic and general. So the reading task, what do we have to learn about the reading task? Not Joy, is it not just to come and read? No, it's not just to come and read, okay? Reading is an aspect of the IELTS where, a lot of things are expected from the students. So generally, the reading test is made up of 40 questions to be answered in 60 minutes. So we can say specifically that you have 1 minute and how many seconds? 1.5 minutes to do one question. There's no limit given for you to, no time given for you to transfer. Unlike, the listening test, when you finish, they'll tell you 10 minutes for you to transfer. In the listening test, there's no time given to transfer, unlike the listening, like I said. So answers should be directly written in the answer sheet provided as you go along. Now, in the reading text, there are between 2,000 to 2,750 words altogether, taken from topics, of general interest, and they are non-professional. So, if at any point you find any unfamiliar word that are used, there will be a glossary at the end to explain the context in which those words are used and their meaning. There are various types of reading tests, question types, and that's what we're going to be discussing. So you need to know that as you do your reading exams, you're writing it as you go along, okay? There's no time to transfer your work. And IELTS reading, academic reading, is not specific to nursing or to medicine or to pharmacy or to whatever. No, it is, the reading texts are taken from topics of general interest. Sometimes you find rocks, them talking about rocks or animals or the trades, the slave trade, the time of the slave trade, China business and all those things. Sometimes they talk about things that ordinarily they will not interest you, but you just have to know what it is so that you can pass your exams. They are not after you understanding the story, but to bring out their questions, bring out the answers from those reading texts. They are actually testing most of the times your vocabularies, your, just like the writing task, okay? Testing your vocabulary, your understanding generally of things and how you can summarize, especially those fill in the gap spaces and all of that. We'll get to explain all the question types one after the other. Okay, let's see, let's bring these people in. All right, so there are various types of reading tests. The reading are like 7 or 8 of them. We'll be doing them one after the other. The first one we'll be dealing with is the multiple choice, what we call MCQ. Okay, so in between you may hear me using MCQ or multiple choice. The reading text, that's the multiple choice questions, are they come in both academic and general reading papers, and you are likely to be asked, in fact, these questions, there are about 3 different types of the multiple choice questions. You're likely to see all of them. I've not really noticed IELTS exams where there are no multiple questions. So you are most likely going to have these multiple questions. Now, number 1 type is that you will have 4 options to choose one. Multiple choice questions where you have 4 options to choose one from. Then the second one is where you have you choose 2 options from 5, okay, and then you choose 3 or 2 from 6 as well. The very common one that you will find is the one with 4 options to choose one. That's the most common type of the multiple choice questions. Sometimes you also have where you are asked to choose 2 different answers. So at times inside your multiple choice, you are asked to complete a sentence with some words, okay, or to pick A or B or C. Those are multiple choice questions. Generally, the MCQ is testing your ability to understand the main ideas, okay, that is contained in a text, and then for you to look for specific information. You will need to quickly identify the main idea in order to locate the correct section where your answer is. Yeah. When you do this, it seems as if usually when you have been able to identify or to locate where the idea is, you will find out that there will be two options. Like when you have those four options to choose two from, what you first of all notice is that you'll be left with two incorrect answers to choose from. So usually what comes to your mind first is a 50-50 kind of something, where you rule out this and rule out that, and then you are left with two options. Okay, so when you are left with two options, what do? You will now have to read in detail. Okay, you will have to read in detail. Now, there are people who, once they see the questions, they start answering them. First of all, they will go to the text, the reading passage. That's the text. So when you text, is the same thing as the reading passage. Yeah. A lot of people make that mistake of reading the text before the questions. Reading the text before the questions is not good, because when you read the text before the questions, you are reading blindly, because you are not sure of what you are looking for. Therefore, you waste your time. And when you now read the questions, you have to come back to the text again. For you to gather speed and momentum to run, in that 1 hour where you have 40 questions, is that for reading multiple choice question types, please read the questions before you read the answers. Before you read the passage, read the questions first, because when you have read the questions, you will be able to locate the answers on time. So multiple choice, read questions first. Don't read passage first. Okay? Read the questions first. When you have a bowl of chocolates and there are different names of chocolate, different brands of chocolates in them, and there are different types, and as in you are just looking at them, you are looking at the chocolate, you see maybe coconut flavor, you see buttermint, you see different names, you see different names, and you'll be wondering, because you are looking for answer, you don't even know what they're asking you, and you are turning the bowl and turning the bowl. What are you looking for? You don't know. So that is the same way we do. That's the exact same thing that happens when we read the passage first. You don't know what you're looking for. But when you read the questions first, you know that you're looking for a particular type of chocolate. You just look at the bowl and you pick it. So you come in and you look at the passages where you see those words or other words for them. Okay, then you pick your answers from there. So read the questions before you read the passage. Another one is people not answering questions. And I'm talking about the common mistakes or problems now in the multiple choice questions, otherwise known as the things to avoid if you want to do well in the multiple choice questions. It seems like this one is very obvious, but a lot of people will not answer their questions at all, leaving questions untouched because they feel they don't have an idea or they don't know what the answer is. I want you to know that IELTS is not a negative marking kind of exam. They score you for what you've done. Nobody reduces your mark for what you've not done. Okay? The people say they're just trying to scare you when they tell you that if you fail 4, they will minus. No, it's not like that. They give you your mark for what you have done. So don't leave any question unanswered. All right? When you have gone through all your questions and you have about 4 or 5 or 3 that you have not answered at all, instead of leaving them, do some guesswork. That's what we say when we were children. You do tinini tanana and you select. So you just need to put some answers down. Don't ever leave a blank space in your reading. All right. Another thing is that a lot of people allow themselves to be tricked by the examiners. For instance, the examiner loves to try and trick you with distractors, what they call distractors. These distractors are things that look like the correct answer, but they're actually incorrect. So when you locate the correct section in your reading text, okay, there will appear to be 2 or 3 plausible correct answers. And it's very, very common for you to be tricked if you don't know synonyms. if you don't know other words. So you need to look for, take a look at the contents of the whole sentence. Don't just come and pick the word. You saw a word in the question, and so you are seeing the word in the answer. You just come and pick that option. Most of the time, those ones that are exact same, there's always a plus, there's a clause, there is something, or either an addition or a subtraction of a word or two that has made that answer incorrect. And you need to have an idea of the main information there before you are able to identify that this question or this answer, this option is a wrong choice. So when they pick your keywords and you see them, please read it very well before you choose that as your correct answer, because they are most likely not the correct answers. What do? Read the whole sentence. Many people make the mistake of not reading the whole sentence. A lot of people will say the first part of the sentence, or read the whole paragraph. The first part, they'll tell you, first paragraph will give you, first sentence will give you the idea. It's a lie. The first sentence will begin the idea. It's not the full information there. It does not contain full information. Don't read the first and the last sentence and say, no. For you to, if you don't want to read anything, for you to make a conclusion, you must have read the first two and the last one or two for you to understand the main idea in that paragraph. So by the time you have read that paragraph, you have read the first two or three sentences, first two sentences, last two, how many more sentences do you have to read? It's best for you to read your sentence, okay? Read everything in that sentence so that you can have an idea. Don't waste time, yes, but try to read everything in that sentence. That way you have an information, like a first-hand information of what that idea is. The truth is that they know, the examiners themselves know that you don't have time and you want to be as quick as possible, okay? But the idea is to teach you or to help you understand the content of the paragraph before you are making your choice or before you make your choice, okay? So you also need to read the text more carefully. Not reading the text carefully because, there are so many distractors. So some of us just jump to the correct answers, the one that seems to be correct. The answers will jump at you. Most often than not, those answers that jump at you, they are wrong if you bring them side by side with your question and with the passage where you are picking that answer from. So take some time to really understand the meaning of the sentence before you jump at answering. Having said all of this, what are the tips for your multiple choice question? By way of summary, you need to read the questions before you read the text, before you read the passage. Read the questions before the passage, so you often be able to eliminate two wrong answers, okay? And then you are left with two. Now, when you are left with these two that look as if they are correct, bring them side by side with the question, and then you will see the clause that makes one of it wrong. If you are unsure of what the difference is between the two, you can rephrase them. You rephrase both answers in your own word. At the end of the day, you will get the correct answer. Rephrase them, especially when they are carrying words, keywords from the question. You need to rephrase them, and that's why you must know synonyms. When you hear a word or you hear something, somebody is telling you something or you're reading something, how many more times can you think about the same thing in your head or say it out without changing the meaning or without like altering anything there? You're saying it using different words, a different language, but you have not changed the meaning of the text or the content. You need to keep practicing that. Don't be tricked by the examiner distractors, especially with keywords from the questions that look the same, okay? They are the same thing with what is in the text. Be very, very careful with them. And if you don't know anything about the topic, you don't have to panic, because the the idea behind the reading text is not that they are testing your understanding, okay, of that topic. All they are doing is just a reading test. It's a test of your reading knowledge. It's not about your knowledge of that topic. For example, when you are reading is about astronauts or anything, you don't have to be an astrologist or whatever, or astronomer to understand the topic. All right, so it's just a test of your reading knowledge. So don't panic. Don't panic when you see those questions, those passages that you know nothing about. They're talking about the history of Britain from before even Nigeria was created, if I can say that. And you don't even know what they are. I've seen such questions. Myself, I've come across such questions, and it can really put you off, okay? If you are the type that is so concerned about, I don't understand. No, you don't have to be like that. Don't be rigid, don't panic. Read the question and answer your questions. Read the passage, answer your questions, and go your way. They are not asking you in-depth knowledge about those things, really. All right. Okay, so another point is that you should try to predict the correct answer before even you read the text. It will help you to find the correct answer more quickly. When you see a reading passage, and that's why I said that you should read the questions first of all. As you read the questions, try in your mind to predict what the answer should look like. That way, by the time you see the answer, you will know that this one is the correct one. Before you decide on your answer, always go back and carefully read the questions before making your final decision. Okay? The answers will be in the same order as the text. That's one good thing. You need to note that. For your reading text, the answers will be in the same order as the text. Who does not understand what that means? Your answers will be in the same order as the text. What? Chinwe, you don't understand. Okay, so what it means is that if, for example, you have found the answer to number 1 in paragraph 2, when you get to number 2, don't go back to paragraph 1 again. Both of them are going like this. They are going hand in hand. So once you find the answer to number 1 in paragraph 2, okay, the answer to number 2 will be below where you found the answer to number 1. As the questions are going, question 1, answer to question 1 up here. The question 2, answer to question 2 will be below where you found the answer to question 1. It makes it much easier. There's another type of question again that is like that. When we get there, I will tell you. Okay? So yes, it's in the same order as the text. Finally, about the multiple task questions, the multiple choice questions, MCQs. About the tips is that you should, know about facts and opinions, because sometimes you will be asked about facts and opinion at the same time. You need to know that facts are always true, while opinions and just what people think. Facts are true, okay? They are truthful sayings, they are truthful statements, they are things that have been proven, okay, and it's true. All right, things that have been proven and it's true. But opinions are what people think. So you may find that in your multiple choice questions as well. You need to be very, very careful. So your strategy for answering your multiple choice questions should be that you read the questions first of all, skim the text to get the general knowledge, general meaning of the whole text, skim it, then underline any keywords that you find in the question. Think about the synonyms, so that when these synonyms appear in the question, in the answer, that's what you will find. hardly will you find the same word for word and it's correct. When you find them, most of the times they are the incorrect answers. Okay, and that's what your examiners are using to trick you. Don't be tricked. Okay, then you read the choices and underline any keywords in the choices as well. Think about the difference in the meaning between these different choices and then predict the correct answer. Read the text again using these keywords and synonyms. You will be able to locate the area where the answer is. And then you read more carefully, think about the difference in meaning, think about not only your correct option, but the other options that are not correct. Why are they not correct? What makes them incorrect? Think about them as well. Then go back and read the questions again before you take your final answer, before you take it. All right, before you agree that this is my final answer, you must go back and confirm, because if you don't cross check or double check or confirm, at the end of the day you might have made the wrong choice. When I did my reading text, I had questions 1 to 7 was the fourth. They had drawn a machine and asked that it should be labeled. And the labeling, they were saying things, and you know, and I did not I didn't get the first one, number one. So what I did, I didn't know. What I did was the answer to number 2, I had written it for number 1. Then number 3 for number 2, number 4 for number 3. I had missed the first one. You understand that kind of a mistake? Yeah. So I had missed, I have taken, so at the end of the day, my number 7, there was no answer. But I was so sure that this was the answer to number 7. That what saved me. I was so sure, how can this be the answer to number 6? How did I write it on? And I brought everything a step backward, and I you need to be very, very careful. If you are not careful enough, you will miss out. And when you miss one, you will miss the rest, especially for your reading and listening. Very, very important, especially the listening itself. Very important. Good choice questions. So make sure you read the questions first and be very, very careful. You need to understand that the answers and the questions, they are in the same order. So you need to you don't have to waste all that time going over and over. Don't go backwards, forward ever. Okay, with multiple choice questions, it is forward ever. Any question on multiple choice questions? No questions. Let's move on. Any questions on multiple choice? No? Going, gone. All right, so the next one is matching headings. Who has come across matching heading questions here? If you have come across matching heading questions, good. Some people find it really, really very, very difficult, but it should not be. If you keep practicing, you won't find it difficult. Okay? It's not going to be difficult if you keep practicing. So in your IELTS reading test, you'll be asked many, maybe about 6 to 7 questions, thereabout. I don't know. It may be more, it may be less. Matching heading questions. You may be asked to match headings. This type of question is testing, they test your ability to understand the main idea of each paragraph. Multiple choice, the idea of the context, the text itself. But this one is a paragraph. So you have to match headings to paragraphs. Headings are very short, sentences that summarize the information in a given paragraph. All you need to do is to pick the one that best summarizes the information in that paragraph. Usually, you'll be given between 5 and 7 headings, and you are asked to match 8 headings in the text with one heading, just one heading. So you will have more headings than questions. Okay, where you have 7, you may have 5 questions, okay, that are matching heading questions. So, excuse me. You will have more. So don't worry when you have finished and it's like 2 or 3 headings that are still remaining, you have not used them. Don't panic, all right? Don't panic. You are still in line because you have them in excess. They will always give you excess. And sometimes you will find that some headings are very, very similar. But there's something that is different among them. There's something that is making that difference among them. You need to understand what that difference is. If you don't understand what the difference is, you will make mistakes in your answer. All right. So today I will just tell us what the common mistakes are and then go to the tips for matching headings. Now, generally for matching headings, one of the very big problems is the fact that there's too much information to get through and there's not enough time. Here, you are expected to read the paragraph very well. You have to understand it because you are going to have to match a heading with that paragraph. So you need to understand it. Now you've got too much information and there's no time. A lot of people try to match a word or words from the heading to that of the text. Don't do it. If you match headings from the text, okay, to this from the text with the options that they have given you, you will make mistakes, and at the end you may not have the correct answers. You need to understand also that some of the headings may appear to have the same meaning. So bring them side by side with the paragraph. Say the paragraph in your own words, using synonyms, paraphrase the paragraph, get a simple meaning for that paragraph. That way you will be able to understand that these two headings are similar, yes, but there's something that is making that difference. So you can identify the correct heading for that particular paragraph. Now, many students only read the first sentence of each paragraph and they don't understand the main idea of the paragraph. You cannot, like I said, just read the first paragraph and get the idea. You can't get a full information of a paragraph by merely reading the first and the last paragraph. So you need to be fast, be quick with your reading, but you need to read carefully as well. A lot of people spend too much time on one paragraph for just one heading, which is one answer. And at the end of the day, they run short of time for the remaining questions. Now, this one, unlike the multiple choice questions, okay, the answers are not in the same order as the text. So they are scattered, which means that you can find the in your the arrangement of the headings that they've given you, those small sentences that they've given you, you may need to go over and over the other one for you to find them. It's quite complicated, and I believe maybe that's why there are not too many matching heading questions. You may not find more than 4 or 5 in your exam, maybe highest 5. That's what you will find. Oyenike, can you hear me now? She's no longer in class. Was she taken out? Anyways, I'm just seeing your message. If you are watching, please log on back again. Okay, anyways, we will have to continue. Your team, do it first. once they give you your question paper, they say this is your question paper, you know, they'll write do not open until you are told to do so. As soon as you open it, go for the matching heading questions and do it first. All right, do the matching heading first. You know why? Because while you're doing the matching heading, you remember that matching heading entails you reading giving a more detailed time, or reading in details first of all, for you to get the ideas. So by the time you have read this thing, you have gone over it and gone over it, you've done matching heading first, the other questions coming behind, you already have an idea of what the whole thing is about. So it makes it easy or easier for you to answer the other questions after matching heading. So please do the matching heading questions first, because like I said, by doing this, you'll be able to get the general meaning of a text as a whole, and then it will help you with the other questions that requires you to take a more detailed look at the text. Another one you need to know, one of your tips, is that you are not expected to read every word. No, not exactly, not every word. Because if you read every word, it will take you too much time, and so you need to practice. If you say, is it not reading, I will do it, it will surprise you. So you need to practice, because these things that we are saying, these tips that we give, they all come with practice. You get used to it when you practice. Okay, so I want you to also understand that if you see any word that you don't understand, don't worry about it. Like they've used a particular word and you don't understand or you don't know the meaning, don't worry about it, because you are just going to be looking at the general meaning, okay, general meaning of the paragraph, and not individual words. It's the general meaning of a paragraph that you're looking at, not individual words. So um when you are too concerned with the meaning of certain words, you waste more time trying to crack your brain and looking for answers. Okay, so you need to be aware also of the fact that they make use of a lot of synonyms. Many people look for words that match exactly with words in the text, no, and then they ignore the synonyms, no. If you find keywords, for instance, maybe the word beautiful, okay, if you find the word beautiful somewhere in the text, you should be looking for maybe words like pretty, attractive, you know, astonish, I mean stunning, words like lovely. That's what you should be looking out for as your synonyms. You may not get that exact same word beautiful. Now, if you have two or three similar headings, write them beside the paragraph. Try to find out the difference between these headings, okay? And then look for some keywords. There will always be a keyword, and this will help you. You will be able to do this quicker, faster, and more easily if you are used to practicing. So we still go back again down to you practicing. Get the Cambridge series, get Baron, get IELTS books, and practice, 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 practice. Okay, so when you see those keywords, what are these keywords? What do they mean? What kind of meaning do these keywords give to this paragraph? How do they change the meaning of the paragraph? Which one best match the paragraph? Which one? Okay, if you still cannot decide which one to choose, you need to move on. Don't spend too much time waiting for one answer. Just go. By the time you are finished, you can come back to it. Usually, when you finish going through all others, usually, okay, the answer will come in. And if the answer doesn't come for one or two questions at the end of the day that you're not sure of, that's fine. So if you score a 38 over 40 in your IELTS, that's a very good score and is a good band, okay? You need to ignore everything that you already know about the topic, because you are not being tested on your own knowledge, your previous knowledge. It's not residual knowledge or previous knowledge of what you have about that particular topic. What they are testing you on is that particular text at that time. All right. I like to cite this example each time, especially because many people are either health workers or students. Now, as a health worker, I understand, or as a nurse, I understand that before I give an intramuscular injection, if you ask me to write about the administration of intramuscular injection, what I would do is that I must do my checks, okay? Do all the checks, ensure it's the right medication, right patient, is in the right dose, right form as well, and all that. If it's one that needs to be diluted, it's been done and all. I have the right diluents and all. When I have prepared my injection, I mean the medication, and I have to withdraw in my syringe. As I'm withdrawing in the syringe, I need to let out all the air, like I prime my needle. Okay, you prime the needle, you let out the air, prime the needle, and then you are sure of the site of the injection. So you clean and you're allowed to dry before you give this injection. I know the process and I do understand it, and I can say it if you wake me up from my sleep. But in the course of the exam, I now find out that they are talking about intramuscular injection, and there's no mention of priming the needle. There's no mention of cleaning, identifying or cleaning the site of the whatever with maybe methylated spirit or any skin cleansers and all that, alcohol swabs. There's no mention of any of that. And this is what I already know. And there is something I need to write. So they now ask, maybe talk about something, I now write alcohol cleanser. After all, it's 2 or 3 words that they said, or it's matching heading. So I can now go and choose and write my own thing there. You will fail that exam. You will fail that exam. Forget about your previous knowledge of that particular thing, that particular text. You may know it very well, but in the context of this exam, answer it based on what you have been asked. Don't go and do oversabi housewife there, all right, because it will not help you. That's part of our tip. Still ongoing, you need to know about synonyms, okay? Synonyms. I already cited an example where I said when you have the word beautiful, you should be looking for things like stunning, lovely, pretty, fine, and all that. All right. So you need to be aware of that. Also, you don't need to read too quickly. Don't read too quickly, because I know that you've not got time, and this particular exam, this particular question type, matching heading, is about the most tedious because there's too much information and there's no time. We're expecting you to read everything, but don't read too quickly, because in the course of reading too quickly, you might miss an information. A lot of people advise you that you should just skim the text because you don't have much time. But, well, I have written the IELTS exam and I passed. Able to pass on my first attempt, and it was not just an academic IELTS. I wrote the UKVI, which people consider to be more difficult as at that time when I wrote mine. So in my experience, it will lead you to not understanding most of the text and making mistakes at the end of the day. There's no point for you to make mistakes and get wrong answers and finish about 5 or 10 minutes before time. There's no point. So instead, spend that extra time that you would have got from your being too quick, spend it on reading more carefully, not sluggishly. You need to strike a balance, okay? IELTS expect you to strike a balance with everything, all right? So it's better for you to do it a bit slower and understand what is in front of you than to be really quick and fast, and at the end of the day you fail your exam. Don't panic if you know nothing about the general topic of the question, okay? It's a test of your knowledge, a reading knowledge, not your test of the question text topic. No, it's not about the text, it's about your reading techniques and skills. That's what the reading text is about. Now, you know that in the multiple choice questions, I told you that you should read the questions first, right? In matching heading, which is what we're dealing with, don't look at the headings first. If you don't look at the headings first, let me tell you what it will do to you. As you are reading the passage, you are reading the passage, the paragraph, in your head, you already have a heading for it. So when you see a similar heading with what you already have in mind, you will know that you are in line. Okay? Like you have an answer in your mind, in your head already, and you see a similar, how you know that this one is correct? All right? So that's what it will do to you. Don't read it first. Don't read the headings first. So generally, what have we been saying about the matching heading? What I have said and the strategy I've arrived at is that when you see a multiple choice question in your exam, please do it first. Secondly, don't look at the headings first. All right. Thirdly, if you want to be quicker, read the first two sentences and the last two. Don't read the first and the last, or first two and the last. Read the first two sentences and the last two sentences. Now, the first two sentences begins the paragraph and is giving you an idea into the paragraph. The last two sentences is expected to be like a summary of what the paragraph has been saying. So if you read those two, you will get an idea of what the paragraph is talking about. All right, if you want to cut your time short. Now, look at the headings and then identify keywords with each heading, with the keywords within them. All right, then match the headings that are very obvious. Some headings are obvious. Like I told you, if you don't read it first, if you don't read the headings first, when you are doing your reading of the passage, you already have one in your head. As soon as you see it is obvious, bam, you have picked it. So some of those headings are actually very, very obvious. Do them first and go to the more difficult ones. And if there's any one you don't understand or you're finding really difficult, leave it. If you can't pick, move on. The answer will reveal itself later. All right? This is what you should do until you have finished with your matching heading. It's a process. You do it for number 2, number 3, number 4. You continue to do it until you finish the matching heading questions. Any questions so far on matching headings? Any questions? No question on matching heading. Going, gone. All right. Next to matching heading, we have matching information. Now, in matching information, you are asked to match statements to paragraphs in the reading text. The first one was matching heading, all right? The second one is this next one now, you are matching statements to paragraphs in the reading text. That's where you will find somebody has made a statement or said something or purported something, suggested something in paragraph 1. That thing is there and the person's name is there. The question will now be asking you, so and so thing said by who? You will now see the answer of it, where you have like authors and, hypotheses made by people and all of that. Sometimes the statements could be reasons for something, could be a description, okay? It could be a summary of something or a definition or even a fact or an explanation. Whatever they are, it does not matter. That should not concern you. You are just expected to have specialist knowledge. Okay, you are not expected to have specialist knowledge of that reading text, like I said. All you are expected is to have the reading skills that is required. So you don't need to understand what the whole paragraph is about in this case. So you see that when you see a paragraph, a passage, and you have already done your matching heading, which gives you a better in-depth, look into the passage. By the time you have all these ones coming after, the questions are now made easier and simpler for you. Because you don't need to understand the whole paragraph, all right, you just need specific information in the paragraph. And because you've done it before in matching heading already, if you have done your matching heading first, you will be able to identify it more quickly. right? Now, the answer will normally be contained in a whole phrase or in a sentence rather than a single word. That's what this one is all about. Majorly, it's not a word. So it's either a phrase or a sentence that will give you the answer. All right. So there will normally be more paragraphs, all right, than you will need, just like matching heading. There will be more paragraphs. So don't worry. If you have paragraphs and you have not touched them, you have not seen them, or there's no answers from those paragraphs, don't be worried. All right. These two also, the answers do not appear in the same order as the questions. So what do we do? You need, for this kind of question, you need some reading skills. Okay, you must first of all be able to skim through the passage to get a general meaning of it, and then you will have to scan for specific words. So skimming and scamming are the skills that you need in this kind of question type. It is more likely that you'll be looking for synonyms here. You need to understand that you'll be looking for synonyms as your answers. What are synonyms? Like we used to define in this class. Like every time we talk about synonyms, synonyms are different words that mean the same thing, or they have nearly the same meaning. And then you'll be looking for paraphrases, like saying the word using other words, all right, but you have not changed the meaning. When you found the words or the phrases that you think might give you the correct answer, you have to read very carefully in order to fully understand the meaning, all right, so that you are really, able to select the most correct answer. When we have matching information questions, people have different problems with that. The biggest problem is the fact that you need to look at the whole text. Here you need to have, you look at the whole text. The answers could be anywhere in the text and they don't come in the same order. So you need to like skim through the whole text. Also, there are, lots of irrelevant information that you don't need. So the strategy that we will be discussing should be able to help you at the end of the day to do your your answers. All right. So sorry about that. Part of the tip here is that this question should be the ones you should do last, because by the time you have done all the other ones and you are coming to this one last, you have seen the whole text. You now understand it better. Do it last. While you do the other questions first, you become more familiar with the passage and it will help you, to identify the correct information more quickly and more easily. Try to find names, nouns, generally names of places, animals, things, numbers, okay, in the questions. When you find them, you need to underline them if you like, or take note of them generally, because they are very, very significant. When you find those things, people, they don't take those things for granted. You will find them in your question, then they will be in your answers. And if they are names, you should remember that you don't need to paraphrase people's names. You cannot use synonyms for people's names when it's names. Like Joy now, for instance, they say Joy said something and you have to identify the statement, and you go and say excitement said something, or happiness, or whatever. It's not going to be possible. So there are certain things that, even though we keep talking about paraphrasing, using synonyms and all, there are some things that will remain unchanged, and those are the names, places, numbers. All right. Now, where you have numbers, you can, it's even slightly bendable, because you can have them as percentages. Like you have 20% of something, you will know that if you have 20% somewhere and you find 1/5, you know it is 20%. All right. If you have 25% and you find a fourth of something, it is same as the 25% of that particular thing. So that's where you have some flexibility for numbers, and that's the reason why you must take note of it. Now, there may be different strategies that you will use, but briefly, you need to read the instructions really carefully. That should be a strategy for you to help you answer your questions more easily. You read the instructions carefully. You read the questions first, like you will do for your multiple choice questions. You think about synonyms and then how you could paraphrase the statement so that this will help you identify the answers on time. Then say the statement in your own word, using your own understanding. At the end of the day, when you find the answer, you will be able to relate better. All right. You need to quickly skim through the reading text to try to understand the general meaning of the text. Then you read the question statements again and predict which paragraph contains your answer. You scan the text paragraphs that you think might contain your answer for those synonyms, because they may not come word for word like I said. Okay, and then when you find your possible answer, underline it. Check again to ensure that your answer is correct, and then you can go on and mark it as your answer and go to the next question. Any question on matching information? Finish in a day, so I'm going to finish reading this night. It's just a matter of maybe we've gone almost halfway now. All right, with the reading. The next one is labeling of a diagram. Labeling of a diagram. Now, in the IELTS reading task, there are different diagrams that you might get. There are about 3 of them. Either you get a technical drawing, maybe of a machine or an invention or something from the natural world, or you can get something like a design or a plan, maybe a house plan or a building plan or something. All right, like a floor map. You can get that in your reading text where you have labeling of diagrams. So you can get a machine, okay, and yeah. Now, when you get labeling of a diagram, when you are asked to label a diagram, many people make the mistake of focusing on that diagram. A lot of people focus on the diagram and they try to understand everything about the diagram. You know that unfamiliar diagrams can cause you to panic and then you lose time. You should understand that this is not a test of your technical knowledge. Nobody is asking you about technical drawing. So it's not a test of your technical knowledge, but a test of your reading skills. And you should try to understand generally what is happening in the diagram, but not the relationship, okay, between the text and the diagram. All right? It's not just about the diagram, just note the relationship. Note the relationship. Note the relationship between the text and the diagram. That is much more important for you. Many people also have issues with locating where the paragraphs are, the paragraphs that contain the answers, locating it quickly. And so if you are unable to do it, we lose time. All right. Some of us also lose time and mark for writing the wrong number of words. If you've been practicing, you will find out that in the IELTS reading task, some of these questions, they will ask you, they say in not more than 1 or 2 words, or with not more than 2 or 3 words, and or a number. Now, if you find not more than 1, not more than 2 words and or a number, it means that you can write 2 words, you can write 2 words and a number, you can write 2 numbers and a word. Do you understand? But overall, 2 and a. So that's 3. That's all that you can write for that question. You need to be careful. So what do? First of all, when you see this question, read the instruction. Check how many words you are supposed to write. It will tell you in the question. All right? It will tell you in the question. And when you're writing your words as well, you need to be very, very careful with words that are hyphenated. Words that are hyphenated. I have this typical example where I use the word state of the art. State of the art. Who knows what state of the art means? When I say there's a state of the art theater in Lagos State. What do I mean? Oyenike, do you want to tell me what I mean by state of the art? And I use a state of the art as an adjective to qualify something. What does it mean?
I might maybe a condition of maybe you're trying to say what condition is something is to my own understanding.
State of the art. Condition.
I'm coming.
That's not what it means. Who will tell me?
I think center of something.
State of the art.
Center of something.
No, thank you. Who can tell me? Who else can try? Something that is very up to date with recent technology. It's in its recent, as in most recent, most up to date form. State of the art. If I go to the Federal Capital Territory and I build a very big hospital, it may not be very big though, an up-to-date hospital with all of the equipment that is needed for all investigations and everything, where you can find like up-to-date, recent, updated, high class. Scans now, there's 3D, there's 4D. Scan where they will almost want to see the face of the baby. So if I have that kind of a scanning machine and somebody is trying to describe, they say it's a state-of-the-art scanning machine. Do you understand? I remember growing up as a child, the first time I heard them use the word state-of-the-art was when the National Theatre Igamu was built or renovated or whatever. It was the most current, most, up-to-date theater then, but not anymore. I don't think it is anymore. So that's what it means. So they say state-of-the-art, a state-of-the-art hotel where every technology is in place. So that word, anyways, that was state-of-the-art. Can you all write it? Type state-of-the-art, type it. Because we must do this example. Good. State of the art. That's what I want to see. Okay. You see where the problem is? I've seen state of the art, but it's state of the art, A-R-T, state of the art. Okay. Anyway, what I want to show us is that this state of the art that you have written, that you all have written, is how many words? How many words? 4. And in an exam, they are asking you a question. Chinwe, can you hear me? Good. Don't worry, we'll soon end the class. So they're asking you a question, and the answer is a state of the art museum, for example. Usually, by the time you do this, your 4 words, and the a before it, that's a before it, and then museum after it, how many words is that? That will be 7. And if you write it this way, you are wrong already. This is the way it is. Have you seen it? Yeah, what I typed. Good. That is 1 word. So you need to be careful. That's what I was trying to explain. I'm just giving you an example. You need to be careful with words that are supposed to be hyphenated. If you don't put the hyphens in between them, they will be counted as individual words. But when they are hyphenated, it is counted as 1 word. When the words in between are hyphenated, it becomes 1 word. And when they're asking you a question and they say you should write not more than 2 words, and your answer is state of the art museum, and now you have written your state of the art is 4 words already with a museum, you have missed your answer. So be very careful with hyphenated words. You need to know how the words appear and how the hyphens come in between them. Understand that hyphenated words, they count as 1, while those same words, if you don't hyphenate them, they count as individual words. Then you identify the type of noun, type of words that are there in your passage, in your text, whether it is noun or verb or adjective or whatever. Whatever word that you need, the words in your passage that you need to complete that sentence or to label that particular thing, you need to know what word it is. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective that I need? Because when you have put those words at the end of the day, they must all grammatically make sense. It will help you to find the correct answer. Here again, the answers do not come in the same order with the paragraphs. So you need to go up and come down, you know, rigmarole around and all of that. When you see this kind of questions and you're doing it, if you find anyone difficult, leave it and go. Do the easiest questions first because you are more likely to get the easiest ones correctly. Now, if you cannot find the answer to a difficult question, move on and come back to it later. Then, as you're working, try to predict your answer before you read the text. It will help you to find the correct answer. And that's why all you need is just a general and overview of what the diagram is about and not full details of how they operate that particular diagram or the operation of the diagram. You need to check how many words that you have been asked to write. I'm just summarizing the strategy now. You need to check how many words you are asked to write. Study the diagram. Just try to understand generally what is happening. Don't spend too much time doing this, all right? Highlight keywords or labels when you find them. Identify the type of word required, whether it is a noun or pronoun, or it is an adjective or a verb. All right, try to predict your answer first of all in your head so that when you see it, you can easily locate or identify or know that it is correct. All right, so scan the text and identify where the information is located. Read more details later on, but after you have found your answer, you know, I told you you need to compare. And for what I've discovered in this evening's class, just now with the state of the art, please be very, very careful with your spelling. I said state of the art and somebody wrote state of the heart. You will be penalized for wrong spellings. Any questions on labeling of a diagram? How many of us have the Cambridge 15 here? Cambridge 15 books, how many people have it? Chinwe, do you have? Oyenike, do you have it? Hannah, do you have Cambridge 15? Adebisi, do you have Cambridge 15? Go to the Telegram group. Go on the Telegram group. Go to the documents that were shared. You will find Cambridge 15 among them. Download it. All right, by next week, we shall be reviewing the test 4, Cambridge 15 test 4 reading. Go and do it from number 1 to 40. Cambridge 15 test 4 reading. Now, the assignment is this. Identify the question types that are there. Excuse me. If, for instance, question 1 to 5 is matching heading, write by the side your book, write it somewhere. Questions 1 to 5, matching heading. Question 6 to 20, labeling of a diagram. I want you to write it, break it down, write everything. Then time yourself as you answer your questions. Don't spend more than 1 hour. If you spend more than 1 hour, it's all for you. I will not be there to see it. The same way I will not be there with you in your exam. All right, don't spend more than 1 hour. Cambridge, what's wrong with my eyes? So Cambridge 15, test 4, reading passage. Go and do it. Now, the next one is sentence completion. In sentence completion question types, you'll be given a number of sentences with gaps in them and asked to complete the sentences with words from the reading text. These questions are, they are as much vocabulary test as they are reading tests because they require you to be, aware of paraphrasing, like I said, like the use of synonyms, all right? Now, if an instruction says no more than 2 words from the text for each answer, it means that you can write 1 or 2 words only, not more than 2. It means you can write 1 and you can write 2. The maximum you can write is 2. If it says and or a number, then you can add a number to it. If you write more than that, you will get your answers wrong already. When it says from the text, it means that you can't change the word from the text. But when there is no emphasis on from the text, then you go ahead and use your synonyms and all of that. The word limit and whether we would use words from the text or not can change from question to question. So you need to read the instructions very carefully. So sometimes from this kind of question type, many people try to match exact same word when they have not said from the text. If it has not said from the text and you match the exact same word, you get your answers wrong. So be looking for those instructions. And once the instruction is not there, then you should go ahead and paraphrase and use synonyms to answer because those are the answers that will appear there anyway. Remember that in this case, you are not going to be catching words. You are going to be writing answers. It's not A or B or C. You are going to be writing. So be very careful with your spellings. All right. You need to read the questions first. In sentence completion, if you are reading it's more like there's a passage, not a passage per se, because there is still what is it called? the other one, summary completion. There's summary completion and there's sentence completion. This one is a full sentence that they have made, but there are some missing gaps. I mean, some missing words there, so there are gaps in between. When you read it, then you can go ahead and do it. All right. Read the questions first, because as you are reading the questions, somehow you are predicting the answer. There's a prediction of the answer coming up already. First, to write. Know the number of words and write it. If it says use words from the text, make use of that. If not, just go ahead and read the instructions very carefully. You need to know how many words. I'll keep emphasizing on that. Read the incomplete sentences first, okay? So that you can think about the words that should form the complete sentence while it grammatically makes sense to you. And then study the reading text more carefully before you go on to establish your answers. Check your spellings. Check your spellings. I'll quickly go to summary completion because they are very similar. But the difference is that in summary completion question types, you'll be given a summary of an information. There's an information, there's a summary of it, all right? So there's a summary of information from the text, and then there will be gaps, they'll leave gaps, lapses in between. So sometimes they give you a list of words for summary completion. Then sometimes most of the time they give you a list of words to choose from and complete your sentences. Where we have lexics and structures in secondary school, yeah? Okay, so you have a list of words, and at other times you may not have a list of words, but it's a summary of a particular passage. Okay, so when you have a list of words, excuse me, when you have a list of words, all you need to do is to insert those correct words in between where they are. You are now left with getting words to use. Here, you are to understand the general meaning of the summary, and then you need to scan for correct information in the text, and you should identify where there are synonyms. Okay, identify where there are synonyms. Now, to predict the answers before you look at the options or the text, you need to read it first of all. That's the reason why you must read it. So predict your answer because it will help you to spot it more quickly, to spot the correct answers more quickly when you've predicted it already. Now you need to know if the gap should be filled with a verb, with a noun, or with an adjective or an adverb. If your answer makes the sentence grammatically wrong, then you have the wrong answer. And that's why you must read again after you have put in or you have inserted all of your answers. Look for synonyms and paraphrases in the text rather than words that directly match. Okay? Please don't spend too much time looking for answers to one question. If you can't find it, move on, do the others and come back to it. If you like, go over the whole thing 50 times if you have time, but don't make sure you are not static, you are not stationed at one particular question and you are doing all the drama in that question. One good thing here is the fact that the answers come in the same order as the question. The answers come in the same order as the question. So if you have picked from the options, you have seen options, you have gone through the passage and you have gone through your summary and you have picked answers for number 1 and it's up. Number 2 will not go beyond number 1. It will keep going down, just the way the MCQs are. So if you get a list of words, think about the ones that can't be correct, okay, because of their meaning or because of their bad grammar. And then you can eliminate those ones and you have your correct one. So generally, what have I said about summary completion? Read the questions carefully. You need to note how many words you have to use, either one or two or three. And you need to understand whether the words you are to use are given in a list or they are not given in a list and you need to get your own words. You skim the summary and try to understand the overall meaning. Try to predict your own answer by putting in words as you go along first of all. And if you are given a list of words, you should see why the options are not correct rather than why your options are correct. Whatever options you have chosen, you need to read it again and ensure that it grammatically makes sense. It is grammatically correct. If it's not, then you have the wrong answer. Last but not the least, in the reading text this night, among the question types that we have is true, false, not given, yes, no, not given. You need to note that when you have a true, false, not given question and you answer yes, no, not given, you will get it wrong. So know what particular one they are asking you. Is it yes, no, not given, or true, false, not given? Not come and then you are writing yes, you get not given is not given, isn't it? So not given for both of them, yes, no. Also, avoid people use T for true, F for false, Y for yes, and N for no, or NG. You are your own in the exam if you do that. Maybe somebody did it and they got away careful and pay attention to detail. Here, it requires you to identify the information, whether it is true or it is false, whether it is true or it is not true. You'll be given a number of factual statements and you have to check the text to see if they are true or not. They'll give you a passage, all right? In that passage, from the passage, they will now extract your questions. And these questions will be based on what has happened or what they have said in the passage. And then they will now ask you to say whether it is true in alignment with the passage, or false, and then not in alignment with the passage, or confirms the information in the statement. The text and the statement, if they agree with each other, then the answer is true. If they contradict, if the text contradicts or is opposite the information in the statement, then the answer is false. It is impossible for you to know. Thus, now, a lot of people that have come across with problems in reading have issues with true, false, not given, yes, no, not given. The biggest problem here is the not given option. Most students, they are used to answering questions like this, and it causes them a lot of problems because they are not sure what to look for, and they also spend too much time making sure that it is not given, and this affects the rest of their test because you have spent too much time here and you will have less time for the other things. Before you know, they're telling you it's nearly time and you should be rounding up. A lot of people fail to understand exactly what each statement means. So when they don't even understand what the statement means, so how do they know what the answer should be? They cannot identify whether it is true or it is false. And so they focus on keywords instead of understanding what the statement as a whole means. Now, another very common mistake is identifying keywords in the statement, then trying to find what words, okay, you find that exact word, what that particular word, you are looking for it inside your passage or in your question. You may not find it. If you do that, you will have yourself to blame. All right. What does true, false actually mean? True, like I said from the beginning, is true. It confirms what the statement is saying with what this text is saying. False, no, it contradicts. not given, or it is impossible for me to say. This is because it is not in the statement. That's simply what it means. So you need to ignore whatever you know already, like I told us when I gave us the story of intermuscular administration of intermuscular on the text only, on what the text is asking you. Identify any words that qualify the statement. For instance, you see words like some, all, mainly, often, always, or occasionally. These words are there to test if you have read the whole statement because they can change the meaning. For example, when we say that Coca-Cola has always made its drinks in the US. When we say Coca-Cola has always made its drinks in the US, or a statement like Dangote cement is always made in Nigeria. Dangote cement is always made in Nigeria. The word always before they made has qualified that making. Always, it means that it is always. That's where it is made. And then you go to see Dangote cement is mainly made in Nigeria. Mainly, which means that a majority of it is made in Nigeria, but some of it can be made somewhere else. So you see these adjectives, always, mainly, they have qualified the word made, and they have given different meanings to the same sentence. But because of their position in that sentence, they have given two different meanings to the sentence. Do we understand? Do we understand? So if I say that I have always used Artemether or Amatem to treat my malaria, and Joy mainly uses Artemether or Amatem to treat her malaria, it means that if I have always used Amatem, it means I don't use any other drug or medication. It is Artemether, Amatem that I use. It contains Artemether lumefantrine. But if I say mainly, that I mainly use Artemether lumefantrine, it means that there are other things that I use, but the bigger percentage or portion of the treatment is with Artemether lumefantrine. So there are two different interpretations to the same thing. You need to be very careful when you find all of those. Be careful when you see verbs that qualify sentences like claim, believe, and know. It's a similar example to what we already did. All right. So, Joy claims that she is a registered nurse. Joy claims that she is a registered nurse. All right. That word claim, you know the meaning, is qualifying the registered nurse. And it's qualifying my attitude. I'm claiming it. But when you hear that Joy is a registered nurse, it's different. So if you are the type that is looking for keywords, you see registered nurse, and you go, it's correct now, but registered nurse is here, registered, you take it. You're on your own. Because something has qualified that registered nurse. One is a claim, the other. You need to know that nouns, all of those things, wherever they appear, irrespective of how, once they appear in a sentence, they give a different meaning to it, and you need to know what is before what or after what, so that you can understand the actual meaning of the statement. That way, you will get what the answer is for, its exact meaning. All right. Note that when you have true, false, not given, majorly, when you have true, false, not given, you will always have your answer. There will always be a true, a false, and a not given. If there are three, then the three of them will appear if there are three questions. If there are four, you can have one that is repeated, but the three of them will always show. The three of them will always appear. Okay? Do not skim and scan the text to find the final answer. You have to read the appropriate parts of the text very carefully in order for you to find your answers. Don't look for words that match or that are exactly the same. I've said that before. And if you can't find what you are looking for, just know that the answer is not given. You probably cannot find it because the answer is not there. That's why you can't find it. The answer is not there, and so the answer becomes what? Not given. Okay? Here, one good thing is that answers are in the same order they appear in the text. So don't waste your time going back and forth looking for answers when you've already found one. Don't waste your time at all looking for answers. Once you have found your answer, go ahead and keep going ahead. Any questions? Any questions? I know your questions will be many next week by the time you have done the Cambridge. If you are serious with yourself, you will do the Cambridge. So do the Cambridge and let's have answers by next week. What you will do is do your Cambridge. You know that the answers are at the back somewhere. So mark it, all right, score yourself on the time and on your score. And then you can take a snapshot and send it to the Telegram group. But the identification of the questions, we'll do that one in class. And we'll do it according to how we appear in class by next week, God willing. Any question in this class? What we've done so far? If you don't have any question, I will assume that you understand. I won't say you don't understand and that's why you don't know what to ask. Because many of us have gone to the YouTube, we have watched these classes over and over. Somehow we understand, but we just want to have a feel of what it is to have a live class. So I will take it that you understand or your doubts have been cleared, or we are waiting for your questions by next week, if at all you have some time to do those questions. Well, in the absence of any question tonight, this is all about the reading class. You can go over the class again if you want to. If you are watching us on Facebook or you're watching us on the YouTube and you're not live with us in the class, it's nothing too difficult that you can't do. Just get the Cambridge 15 book and do test 4. Send in your answers, jot your questions down. By the time we come back next week, we will take the questions and clear your doubts, all right? Some of you have started writing and registering again, and we've had some successes. We posted some to the group, and some are yet to be posted to the group. We've had some successes, and that's why somehow the class, the number is reducing. Some of you have passed already. And yes, so in the absence of any other question, I will say